Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our unit on supply and demand. This is part 2, and the focus of this particular video lesson will be demand. So let's talk about our key topics for demand big picture. So we're going to talk about understanding demand. We're going to go over the elasticity of demand, and we're going to talk about shifts in the demand curve. It would help if, as a teacher, I could speak properly. So these are the key questions that we're going to be focusing on as we explore the concept of the demand curve. So key terms that you need to keep in mind. We're going to look at what demand is. We're going to look at the law of demand, the substitution effect, the income effect, normal goods versus inferior goods, the demand schedule, the market demand schedule, the demand curve itself, and quantity demanded. So demand, what is it? It is both the desire to own something and the ability to pay for it. See, this is where we may demand to be millionaires, right? But we have to actually be able to afford that. We might demand a Ferrari, but you also have to afford it. So the demand for Ferraris is actually not that big. It's a pretty tiny market because, let's be real, most of us cannot afford Ferraris. Certainly I can't, not on a teacher's salary. So remember, two parts. The desire to own it, and the ability to pay for it. It's a two-part thing. All right, so the law of demand basically is this. When price is up, demand is down. When price is down, demand is up. All right, P, of course, equals price, and D equals demand. Very important concepts. Demand schedule is a table that lists the quantity of a good that a person will buy at various prices. Okay, a market demand schedule is the same thing, but it's for all customers within one market. Okay, it's essentially the average of customers in a market. And the demand curve is the graphic representation of a demand market demand schedule. Okay. All right, so let me show you an example of an individual demand schedule. So this is individual. So for $1, Ashley will be willing to buy 5 at the price of $1. But notice, if the price goes to $6 per pizza, she's not going to buy any. All right, so if as you can see, the price will determine how much she's willing to buy. This is an example of a market demand schedule. So you can see how, let's go back to the individual for a second. You can see how this is very limited. Okay, we have 5, 4, 3. All right, and you're not buying like 8,000 pies here, right? This is a single person, what they would be, how many pizzas they would be willing to buy at a particular price. Here, this is the market for pizza total. So there would be 300 slices of pizzas demanded for $1 a day. But if you charge $6, that's going down to 50. So you're going to make, as a producer, you're going to make a good profit at $6 because, you know, you're charging a lot for it, but you're only going to sell 50 slices. So that's really not necessarily the best place for you to be. But this is an example of a market demand curve. All right, so substitution effect versus income effect. These are very important. So with a substitute, you're looking at let me give you an example. Coffee. Coffee is a very common good, but let's say I want coffee for the caffeine, right? That's why I want it. And if I couldn't get coffee, what would be another option? Tea. I might get tea instead. So the coffee and tea would be substitutes for each other. So if the price of a preferred good, let's say coffee is the preferred good, goes up, then the demand of the substitute good will also go up. So if the price of coffee goes too high, then people might switch from coffee to tea because it's cheaper and they can still get what they need. They can still get the caffeine, but at a cheaper price. All right, and the demand of the preferred good will go down. Now, in my case, that's never happening because I'm obsessed with coffee, as my students are aware. But I guess regular, normal people that are not me, that might be a good substitute. The income effect is interesting as well. As the price goes up and income remains the same, consumers buy the same stuff, but much less of it. Okay, so if we're sticking with the coffee and tea example, if the price goes up, my income stays the same, I might still buy the coffee, but I'll buy less coffee. In theory, I don't think I'd ever buy less coffee. I could be living in a cardboard box and I'd still pay for Dunkin' Donuts. But anyway. All right, so this is a graphical representation of what I just described. All right, so if you look at the price of A, we're looking on this side here. Okay, the price of A increases. Okay, with the income effect, the consumption is going to go down and the consumption of other goods is going to go down. With the substitution effect, the consumption is going to go down for that good, but consumption of other goods is going to go up. And with a combined effect, you see the consumption of A is going to go down, but the consumption of other goods is going to go up, and then the consumption of A is going to go down, okay? And then the price of A decreases, you see that the opposite occurs. All right, normal versus inferior goods. A normal good is a good that you'd prefer to get when you can. So, for example, my normal good would be Dunkin' Donuts, okay? Dunkin' Donuts coffee, hazelnut, by the way. So if income goes up, demand will go up. Just about everything is an example of what happens with normal goods. So if your income goes up, you're going to wind up buying more or wanting more and being able to pay for more of that normal good. So I will buy more coffee and chocolate, so I'll buy Godiva and I'll buy Dunkin' Donuts. Good times. Now, if my income goes up and demand goes down, okay, example, shopping at Walmart. So I would shop at Ann Taylor for clothes instead of Target or Walmart. So let's say that Folgers is my inferior good, right? Dunkin' Donuts is my normal good, and Folgers is my inferior good. So if my income goes up, I can afford to buy Dunkin' Donuts because my income just went up. I can afford it. So my demand for Folgers is going to drop like a rock. It's going to drop like a bad habit. So I'm not going to buy Folgers. Forget Folgers. I can afford Dunkin' Donuts now. I can afford the good stuff. So I'm not buying Folgers anymore, right? I'm going to go with the good stuff. All right, so quantity demanded is really, really important. There is a difference between demand and quantity demanded. Very, very, very important. The quantity of a commodity that people are willing to buy at a particular price at a particular point in time. Okay? Another way of saying this is the amount of a thing that people will buy at a specific price at a specific point in time. We must understand this difference between demand and quantity demanded. All right. Now, what I'd like for you to do is check out the website below for a more detailed explanation of quantity demanded if it's still not quite making sense to you. My guys, we're going to practice this in class, so prepare yourselves. But that's a really, really good breakdown of demand versus quantity demanded. Okay. All right. Now, we need to talk about these things called the determinants of demand. And I created this acronym called POINT, okay? Now, these are the things that cause the demand curve to move, that cause the demand curve to shift. Price of other goods, all right? Not the price of the actual good that you're looking at. It's the price of the other stuff. So if I'm looking at the supply and demand model or supply and demand graph for coffee, the price of tea will shift the demand curve for coffee, not the price of coffee. This may not necessarily make sense when you see the graph. I promise it will make sense. Outlook, consumer expectation of future income and prices. So basically, how we feel about the future. If we think the future sucks, that's going to be bad for demand. If we think the future is rosy and nice, that's going to be good for demand. Income. So if our income goes up, that's good for demand. If our income goes down, not so good for demand. Number of potential consumers, that's the population of the market. If it increases, that's generally good for demand. Decreases, not so hot. And then taste, fads or fashions. We can think of a number of different examples here. If we want to go back in time to my day, they had these things called snap bracelets, where it was like this long plasticky bracelet, and you slapped it on your wrist and it wrapped around it like a snap bracelet. The demand for that was pretty high for a while, but then that thing faded pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden the demand was non-existent for it. It was very much a fad. That is the end of part 2. I will see you folks in part 3.